It was supposed to be a routine day in the bean fields. But for Diep and her young daughter, NHI, what began with radiant smiles and baskets full of promise would end in an emergency that left their family rethinking love, sacrifice, and the meaning of togetherness. The morning heat. At dawn, Diep gently woke her daughter. The pair prepared for another long day in the fields, loading their baskets, donning hats to shield themselves from the sun, and setting out with determination. The air was already warm, and within hours their backs were drenched in sweat. Yet their faces carried nothing but joy. Diep used the time to teach NHI small lessons: how to sort young beans that could fetch a better price, and how to keep the older ones for meals at home. NHI listened attentively, nodding eagerly at every word, her small hands mirroring her mother's movements. Time slipped away. By noon, the sun bore down mercilessly. Diep began to feel lightheaded but forced herself to continue. For her, finishing the harvest in time to sell at the market was not just about money, it was about survival. Collapse in the field. That afternoon, the marketplace bustled. Despite fatigue, Diep smiled warmly at customers, determined to sell every bean. By closing time, however, her strength failed. Her body trembled, cold sweat soaked her skin, and her vision blurred. On the road home, she collapsed to her knees. "Mom. Mom, don't leave me." Knee's terrified cries pierced the air. A passing neighbor rushed them to the local medical station. Word spread quickly, and soon reached James. James at the hospital. When James arrived, the sight broke him. Diep lying pale and weak on the hospital bed. He clasped her hand, his voice choked with emotion. "Don't worry. I'm here. I'll take care of everything." Doctors diagnosed her with a severe cold and exhaustion from overwork under the punishing sun. James was consumed with guilt. How had he allowed the woman he loved to shoulder so much alone? A CEO turned caregiver. From that moment, James refused to leave Diep's side. He wiped her forehead, fed her spoonfuls of porridge, and sat awake in the hallway during the nights. He vowed silently, "You will not suffer alone anymore." During the day, he became a father figure to NHI. He cooked meals, helped her with homework, and took her to school. Neighbors who once knew him only as the busy CEO were astonished. "A man like him doing housework? Taking care of a child? It's rare," they murmured in admiration. Moved, NHI hugged him one evening. "Uncle James, I love you. I just hope Mom gets well soon so we can all have dinner together." James's eyes filled with tears. Homecoming. When Diep was discharged days later, a light rain greeted them. James supported her gently into the house. "You rest. Let me cook tonight," he insisted. Diep's eyes filled with gratitude. But your work, the job can wait, he interrupted softly. But you and NHI, you are my only ones. That night, the clatter of knives and chopping boards filled the kitchen. NHI peeked in, astonished. Uncle James, you really know how to cook? I thought only Mom could. James laughed. Wait and see. Tonight, I'll make your mom's favorite soup. At dinner, the table was humble, just vegetable soup, braised meat, and stir-fried beans. Yet for Diep, it was the most meaningful meal in years. James gently placed food on her plate. Eat plenty. You need your strength back. The room filled with Nye's stories from school, laughter replacing the worry that had once haunted them. A new rhythm of life. In the days that followed, James reorganized his schedule. Mornings were for school drop-offs. Afternoons for pickups. Evenings were spent at home, helping NHI study, patiently guiding her through mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes, he told her one night. What matters is correcting them in time. Diep, watching from her bed, felt her heart swell with quiet happiness. Neighbors who visited were stunned to see James sweeping floors and cooking. A CEO like him, doing all this? Unbelievable. James only smiled. Taking care of family is just as important as running a company. One quiet night, Diep whispered her fear. James, you've sacrificed so much for us. I'm afraid one day you'll regret it. Taking her hand, he looked into her eyes. I have never regretted it. And I never will. My only fear is not being able to take care of you like this forever. Diep's tears spilled. She leaned into his shoulder. Thank you for coming into my life. Return to the fields. Weeks later, when her health had returned, James suggested an afternoon walk. They stopped at the very bean fields where everything had begun. Diep traced the green leaves with her fingers. Do you remember? This is where I collapsed. Her smile trembled, shadowed by the memory. James clasped her hand tightly. I remember. And I promise, from now on, you'll never face hardship alone. I'll always be here. NHI ran ahead, laughing. Next time, let's harvest beans together. I want to pick like you too. James chuckled, ruffling her hair. All right, but you'll have to be the best picker. The three of them laughed, their joy echoing across the quiet fields, carried away by the wind. A family reborn. Life slowly settled into a new balance. James managed both his company and his family with newfound purpose. Every morning, he remained the steady figure at the school gate. Every evening, he cooked and cleaned alongside Diep. Together, they created a life that was ordinary on the surface but extraordinary in its love and devotion. One evening at dinner, NHI asked innocently, "Uncle James, will you stay with me and Mom forever?" James paused. His smile was gentle but firm. "Yes, I promise. We're a family, aren't we?" NHI clapped her hands in delight. "Thank you, Uncle James," and in that moment, the promise of love, commitment, and family was sealed, not in grand gestures, but in the quiet, unwavering care of everyday life.